Welcome to my channel, INTJ Island. Today, I'm going to tell you a story about an old INTJ as he helps a young INTJ through a problem. The old INTJ set his book down as he heard the front door close. It was time for Sandy to get home from school. He watched as the 7th grader silently walked past his open office door. "Sandy," he called out. Her footsteps halted, and he heard them slowly returning to his door. As she walked into his office, she was studying the floor, as if it were an interesting problem to solve. "What's the matter, honey?" he asked. "People," she said. "They're no good." "Would you care to be more specific?" he asked. "Kelly is not a good person," she said. She lifted her angry eyes to look at her grandfather. "Is this a general observation?" he asked. "Or is it based upon a recent event?" Sandy took in a deep breath, and she said, "The day before yesterday, the kids were all picking on Kelly. She had said something they didn't like, and nearly the whole class was laughing at her and calling her names. I stepped in and told them to leave her alone, and I pulled her away from the group. She was crying, and I did what I could to make her feel better. She cheered up and acted like she really appreciated my help. But then today, she attacked me, insulting me, and getting the others to join in with laughing at me. I was very hurt. Kelly wasn't fair. She was mean for no reason." The old man knew that Sandy was intelligent and normally a tough little introvert. She didn't worry about what others thought as a rule. She lived the life of a loner at school and usually came home unscathed by whatever the other kids had done that day. He nodded his head and he said, "Well, did you do the right thing when you helped Kelly out of the jam she was in the other day?" "Apparently not," she said in anger. "Was it wrong to help her?" Grandpa asked. "No," she said in frustration. "It was the right thing to do, but—" "Whoa, Sandy," he cut her off. "One thing at a time. So you feel that you did the right thing in helping her?" "Well, yeah, sure." She scowled as she thought it over. "But it didn't work." "It didn't work?" Grandpa asked. "No," she said. "She didn't appreciate it, and then she turned on me." "So," he said, "you were saying that you did the right thing, but for the wrong reason? You were hoping to get something out of what you did?" "No," she said emphatically. "I did it because the other kids were being mean to Kelly, and I wanted to stop them." "Did you stop them?" he asked. "I told you that I did," she said. "So it did work?" he asked. "Well, yeah," she said. "I saved her bacon, but she sure didn't appreciate it." "Okay," he said. "If we look at only what you did the other day, it was right, and it was successful at the time. Do you agree?" "Yes," she said. "Now," he said, "did the kids today do the right thing when they attacked you?" "Of course not," she said as she glared at him. He said, "Did what happened today change what you did the other day? Did it alter its status as being the right thing to do?" "I guess not," she said. "Is it really only a guess?" he asked. "No, Grandpa," she said. "It isn't a guess. I know I did the right thing." "So," he said, "what happened today, in point of fact, stands separate from what happened the other day. Do you agree?" "No," she said, "I don't agree. That little witch should have stood up for me the same way I stood up for her." "A quid pro quo?" he asked. "I did it for you, so you have to do it for me?" "Why not?" she demanded. "Think about today," he said. "Were you hurt because the other kids insulted you, or because Kelly joined in with them?" "I don't care what those losers say," she replied. "They'll be lucky if they can graduate from high school, assuming they even make it that far. It was Kelly that hurt me." "Let's take this another step farther," he said. "Was it actually Kelly's actions, or was it your trust in her that hurt you?" "What do you mean?" she asked. "What happened today has happened before," he said, "aside from what Kelly did, right?" "Yes," she said. "It has happened many times because I am outside the group, and I don't play their games. They don't like me. I don't care." "When I was in school," the old INTJ said, "I was the same way. I didn't understand them. They didn't understand me, and it was best to go our own separate ways." "Like I said," she replied, "they're no good." "It's easy to feel that way," he said, "but they are just people. trying to figure out how to get along in life. Most of them live on the outside and judge everything by the feedback they get from others. We introverts are living on the inside. We are different. Fine, she said, but why do they have to be so cruel? If you look closely at them, he said, you'll find that most of that nasty stuff comes from insecurity. They are terrified of not fitting in or not being good enough. They will often feel like they are lifted up by attacking somebody who is viewed as being beneath them. By pushing you down, it lifts them up. That is just plain sick, she said. It is certainly just plain human, he said. These kids have a long way to go. It's a struggle trying to make sense of things, often even for adults. It can be pretty chaotic. I don't like it, she said. And I don't blame you, he said. But we have to live in this world with these people, so we have to find a way to get along. She said, why is it up to me? Why don't they have to learn? Sandy, he said, you don't yet appreciate how lucky you are to be introverted and to have your feet set firmly on the ground. You are not struggling to be one of the popular ones or to fit into that group of chaotic confusion. If I'm so lucky, she said, why do I feel so bad right now? He replied, let's return to the point. Was it what Kelly did, or was it your trust in her when she did it that really hurt you? Are you suggesting that it was my fault? She said angrily. In a way, he said, you put your trust in the wrong person, and that is why you were hurt. It wasn't my fault, she insisted. He raised his hand in agreement, and he said, you're absolutely right. Her actions were in no way your fault. However, your hurt was not really about her actions. It was about your misplaced trust in her to have your back. I wouldn't be surprised that in the past she had done the very same thing and it didn't hurt you then. I hate to admit it, she said, but you are right. So, he said, you can see that it was your trust that opened the door to your pain. It is a hard lesson to learn, but you will be less likely to be hurt if you are more careful with how you bestow your trust. When someone does the right thing towards you, does that action come from you or from him? The other person, she said. So where should your trust come from? Do you base it upon what you do or upon the character of the other person? A tear ran down Sandy's cheek. Why is it all on me, Grandpa? Why must I do it all? The old INTJ stood up and walked around his desk and took her hands in his. Honey, all you can really control are your own actions. To build a relationship, you must use your intelligence to evaluate the character of another person through his actions. If you have your expectations set correctly, you will seldom be disappointed. Today, your expectation was that Kelly was on your side and that she had your back. You were wrong, and that hurt you. Never trust anyone, huh? She said. She looked up at her grandfather with sad eyes. Fortunately, he said, it's not as bad as that. Your grandmother and I have been married nearly 45 years, and I would trust her with more than my life. I trust you as well, Sandy. There are a few select people I trust, and they very seldom violate that trust. You can trust people, but you have to base that trust upon valid reasons. A good friend, an honest friend, will stand by you when the going gets tough. A fair weather friend will evaporate when there is trouble. There are rules for grammar, she said, and there are rules for mathematics. But for people, there is only confusion. They smile, and then they stab you in the back. Yes, he said, but they also reach out and give you a hand at times when you least expect it. They are not all bad. Remember that. What I want you to do is to be careful and to evaluate your friends objectively before you give them your trust, and you will find that trust can be safely placed upon the right ones. Sandy was quiet, and she looked down at the floor as she contemplated what her grandfather had said. He gave her time to think, and after a while she finally looked up. Thank you, Grandpa, she said. I still hurt, but I feel better. Emotions are powerful things, he said. They can give you great happiness or terrible misery, and just about anything in between those extremes. Then, as if all that had been said suddenly clicked into place for her, Sandy said, "I almost forgot. In math class, my teacher said something that I think was wrong, and I wanted to run it by you. She is a nice lady, but she has no head for math." He smiled, and he said, "Let's have a look at it." If you enjoyed the video, please click like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. If you click on the bell, you will also receive notifications when I put up a new video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.